housing market there in BC and across the country here. So especially in these crazy times. So for anyone who doesn't know me, my name's Paul Rivington. I work for a company called Boa-Franc. We're a manufacturer of hardwood flooring out of St. George, Quebec. Just took over as an A&D rep in your area. I have been in the prairies for some time, just earlier this year, and looking forward to meeting a lot of people that might be on this call, and hopefully educate you guys a little bit on a couple of things here. So just going back, originally I know in my description it mentioned the Canadian hardwood advantage. When I took this, decided to present, I was going to go to my normal presentation, which is very much focused on that. But actually, after chatting with Leanne Drake, our friendly competition there, who's presenting later today with Mercier, we decided that we'd have a little bit of overlap. So we're going to be talking about colors today. So I put together a presentation, and I hope it speaks to everybody, and that we have some good questions at the end. So I'm going to go ahead and switch over now. How are we doing there, Susan? All good?
Okay, so you just need to change it from the presenter view. You need to change it to being the other screen, because right now we're looking at the presenter view where we see the next slide.
Oh, okay, gotcha. How's that? Is that better?
It's still the same view. If you have another screen, it might be on another screen.
Yeah, I think that's what's happening here.
Yeah. So if you just go back to the PowerPoint itself.
Well, how's that?
It's not sharing. You need to share your screen. There you go. Thank you.
There we go. Sorry about that. Technology, right? So yeah, so we're talking about hardwood flooring colors today. So what I wanted to do is just talk about a little bit about where we've been here in Western Canada and also in BC, what we're looking at for 2021, and then also possibly into the future as well, specifically on hardwood flooring, and also talking about some different flooring types as well. So as far as what does history tell us, I went back and just looked at some data. I looked at some data as far as as a manufacturer, what we've shipped into Western Canada and British Columbia over the last 3 years. And from a tone standpoint, what kind of colors have been most popular? So when I look at Western Canada, on the right-hand side here, specifically in 2020, as a lot of people know, and you would have seen from your sales or any designers that are on the call here today, really dominant in Western Canada when it comes to natural tones. Really that's that trend towards natural white oak colors, wider planks, those more European type looks. We look at grays still hanging in there at 23%. Warm browns, reds, make up another about 20% or so. And then the more specialized dark stains, reds and whites, we see kind of make up the balance. When we look at the trend from 2018, 2019 to 2020, and this is based on about 2.4 million square feet that we've delivered over this time into Western Canada. We're looking at the natural wood tone up by 22%, so from 24 to 36 to 46%. And keep in mind, this covers all of Western Canada provinces from Manitoba through BC. we see that major increase in the natural wood tones and a decrease in the grays and a decrease in those browns. So very much towards that that direction to those natural looks. We look at British Columbia specifically. So now we're based on about 1.2 million square feet delivered into BC in that same period of time. You guys in BC, and I see you guys because I actually live in Calgary, you know, that natural wood tone has been very consistent around the 40 to 44% of the wood that we've shipped into that area. The gray is still hanging on, and when I really dialed down and looked at the data from even an area standpoint within British Columbia, the Lower Mainland still has a pretty strong market towards that gray. So we've seen a little bit of an increase in the natural wood tone. Grays has stayed very consistent, and then the rest that make up the color, our color range, have been, you know, pretty consistent along the way as well. So, but really, you know, really interesting. And for myself, just starting to call into the DC market, that's really what we've seen. I've noticed as well is very much of that demand right now for that white plank natural look white oaks. So when I look into 2021, and 2021 is really interesting, as I did some reading on it, you know, a lot of the design is very much focused, like Mark had mentioned in his presentation, as far as people, you know, exiting, you know, that behavior changing where people are exiting the major centers, you know, going to single family homes, working from home, and very much trying to design within that, you know, that really warm, comfortable look, you know, to make, you know, that feel good at home, especially as people are spending more time home. And I think as everybody's noticed in our industry as well, right now that demand from that renovation level is very, very high. So that behavior has changed a lot. So looking into 2021, you know, first off, let's look at what the hardwood professionals are saying for 2021. So I found some data just based on from Hardwood Flooring Magazine, 2021 Industry Outlook. This is the National Wood Flooring Association's magazine. So it is a survey of their membership, which includes trades, includes retailers, and also includes manufacturers. And what I really want to focus in on is the blues and the yellows. So the blues being the percentage of people that have would have responded saying there's more demand, whereas the yellows would be less demand. So when we look at the white stains, 30% said that there was going to be more demand this year, whereas 26% said there'd be less. Dark colors, 26% said less, 21% said more in 21 demand. So very, very balanced when we talk about, look at those. Really, again, like I mentioned with the trends, that natural wood color, 45% of those respondents are saying there's going to be more demand this year within those colors. And then only 9% said less demand. So keep in mind that this is data across North America, not specifically within Canada, but just kind of gives us an indicator from the retailers level, what we can expect our customers to be looking for as far as color goes and coloring and flooring. Really towards the natural wood colors is still going to be dominant within 2021 and probably moving into the future as well. So then we ask, okay, what do the design professionals say for 2021? So again, from Floor Trends Magazine's January 2021 issue, Top Trends in Residential Floors by Tanya Kern. Tanya does an editorial where she talks to designers across North America, Canada, and the US. Say, okay, what are we looking at for flooring within this year? So what we're looking at for flooring, again, natural hues, that ethereal and European influences, very natural type looks, minimalism, wood looks, handcrafted influences, basket weave and herringbone patterns, and large and clean shapes. So that's within all of flooring. These are the trends from a design standpoint that we're looking at across North America for 2021. So what does that mean? You know, when we look at what do we, you know, in the hardwood flooring industry, you know, what do we have? So I threw together some room scenes from our 2021 launches to show exactly in hardwood flooring what that looks like. So first being natural hues. So it's a new color of ours called Rocking Horse. You'll see, you know, very, very natural variation. White oak again, influences. wide plank, very much towards that look. Natural within, in this setting, a very, very contemporary type of design. So ethereal and European influence is very natural. This is a really great room scene of very, very simple floor for us. We're looking at a maple, wide plank maple floor, a little bit of character in it. The key to this is that it has a very low gloss, so it gives it really that European, that Scandinavian type look. And we've seen that a lot in the design over the last few years. In this space specifically, really, really shows that. And it's really interesting, us as a Canadian manufacturer of hardwood flooring, we look at maple and we look at red oak as species. A lot of people really look at those two species and think, okay, that was, my mom or my grandma's floor, that we've been installing, and supplying to Canada for decades. The biggest difference, wide plank, a little bit of character in that ultra low gloss changes the feel of that floor. And that's where that European influence comes into play. Minimalism. Minimalism can mean a lot of things. I picked this slide specifically just for the space, that we're in this warehouse type style space, loft space, but very minimalist, very clean looking floor, not a ton of variation to the floor, a warm color. We're seeing that start to trend as well, a little bit more towards those warm tones and away from the grays and the colds. But this, hardwood flooring in that minimalist space is definitely a trend as well that we're seeing. Handcrafted influences, and this is interesting. I think this is one that we're not necessarily seeing in BC. However, certain areas of BC, we see this. One thing that we've really noticed within our requests has been a little bit more demand on the island for some more contrasty texture type floors. This one here that I chose for this image is a new texture that we have at Vintage called Blade, where we mix 3 different textures within the floor. But that handcrafted look, it has a different demand. I'm not feeling it in the Lower Mainland, but we're feeling it in different areas of the province. Basket weave and herringbone patterns, right now very, very big, and when we talk about basket weave and different patterns that you can do with that herringbone size product, right? We're fortunate at Mirage and Vintage, whereas 80% of our product offering is available in these sizes, and we can create these patterns, whether it's throughout an entire space or just in one room, in a den or an office area. But again, we're definitely seeing that trend. And then the last one is large, clean shapes. And I think with that mention from Tanya Kern, it's really very much a flooring in general type of comment. But so when we look at it from a hardwood flooring standpoint, what I really zoom in on is the large, wide plank, clean grains. And I very much feel that in the Lower Mainland, with the meetings that I've had and the requests that I get, is we're really seeing that move away from really rustic looking, lots of character floors, that we're seeing, from a lot of the imports and a lot of other flooring products as well, like vinyl plank and and laminates have very much gone in that direction. Now we're seeing that, or feeling that trend back to cleaner grains, not as much knots, which as a Canadian manufacturer is really great for us because we're really set up for that trend. Most of the lumber that we're harvesting is a very, very clean lumber. We can provide that. So, but that's why I chose these 3 room scenes: Riften quarter cut white oak, wide plank up to 7 3/4 inches wide, very, very clean grains. This is our exclusive grade. So yeah, all those flooring trends, translate into hardwood flooring, but, you can do the same thing with other floors like vinyl and tile, very much the same trends. So where are we going? That's the big question. What's happening after this? What are we feeling? Those warm tones are going to stay, they're going to be here for a while. Clean grains, like I just mentioned, very, very much feeling the clean grains and that move away from rustic looking floors. Low gloss is here to stay. I don't think it's going to go anywhere. You know, right now about a 5 to 9% gloss level is really what we're seeing going into the future. And like I mentioned earlier, you take a lot of those more classic looking floors and you throw an ultra low gloss on them, it completely changes the look of the floor. And believe it or not, narrow plank, you know, and we feel it in different areas of the country, but more and more and more requests from design for narrow plank floors. I have a few clients that call me regularly. They're like, Paul, how narrow can I get it? Can I get it 1.5 inches wide? Can I get it 2 inches wide? You know, so we're really starting to feel, but again, those warm colors, natural colors, ultra low gloss, clean grains, narrow plank. And I think, you know, this is a speculation from a hardwood geek here, but I think the main reason for that is just kind of a go away. Like most synthetic manufacturers that are, you know, in the laminates and the LVPs, like I mentioned before, have all gone to those rustic type looks and grays and you know, and a lot going on. Wide plank, that authenticity to hardwood flooring is starting to go back to that narrow plank. And I think that's the key factor. And we'll just kind of see how that goes. A lot of people, when I say narrow plank, they're like, you're crazy, Paul, but it's happening. We're feeling it across the country right now. All right, so check time, we've got about 15 minutes. So where do we, you know, Boa-Franc, let me talk about our brands a little bit. Where do we fit into this? So we have two different brands, a vintage hardwood, which is are finished out of Toronto, and Mirage hardwood flooring, which is finished in St. George, Quebec. So locality, this is a big deal for us. You know, Boa-Franc is our parent company. So our primary manufacturing location is in St. George, Quebec. Like I mentioned, finishing for Mirage happens in St. George, and then our finishing for vintage happens in Toronto. The biggest part of this piece of this, and I think we're feeling this right now, guys, is that demand. You know, right now with that demand on renovation, everybody's getting tight with product. The main difference with us is you look at our harvest zone here within Canada and the northeastern US. Our access to raw material is limitless. So for us, as far as supply, especially in tough times right now, or tough from a supply standpoint, you know, we're in that, you know, 4 to 6 week standpoint with supply, rather than, you know, a lot of the import guys being at that 2 to 3 month, you know. So, you know, we definitely have a huge advantage when it comes to that, but that doesn't have anything to do with color and selection. Just thought I'd mention that. But species, you know, with Boa-Franc, you know, Mirage and vintage, you know, we're maple, white oak, red oak, hickory, and walnut. We cover all of those species on all North American species as well. Grades, you know, we keep it very simple. We have exclusive grade, very clean. Largest knot we allow is 3 3/8 of an inch, and you know, really, really clean looking floors. So again, for that trend that we're feeling to go to clean grains, very, very well set up for that trend. But again, we also have our character grade as well, where we do allow knots and streak and color throughout the floor, the natural characteristics of the floor. Technologies, you know, anywhere from solids. So again, with the narrow plank, we're starting to feel more demand back towards solid, where it's been, you know, very much towards engineered over the past, you know, decade or two. So we're really, you know, as narrow plank gets more popular, we're selling more solid within that. But again, solid hardwoods, 2 engineered, and then a log product as well for, you know, multifamily projects and commercial and things like that. So we have 4 different platforms that we offer. 2 finishes, our Nanolinks finishes, cashmere at 18%, semi-gloss at 40%, and then our Duramat finish, which is our 5% gloss finish, very much towards that oil look floor. And our collections, you know, so we have 8 different collections within Mirage. These are just Mirage, and then we have vintage. So what that creates is over 1,000 different standard SKUs that we have. As far as the color range goes, I showed you some of the colors that we have through the presentation. We cover all the colors, we cover all the sizes, all the construction, all the grades. Very, very well set up for that. And that's it as far as the colors goes. And it looks like I'm right on time too. So I want to thank everybody for the presentation, and open it up to any questions that people might have.
Okay, thank you very much, Paul. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to check the Q&A and check the chat. And I'm just going to check our attendee list for anyone who has raised their hand if they wish to speak their question. So just one moment. I don't see any questions at the moment. So perhaps you can speak about the reason for colors as opposed to focusing on Canadian wood.
Yeah, like as far as within design.
Yes.
Another thing that I didn't mention in the presentation is we're seeing a lot of contrast. So we are seeing a little bit more of a demand for darker hardwoods as well in certain design. And then together with the light, that's already the trend. And within design, the explanation is that is a lot of contrast on a dark cabinetry on a lighter floor, or vice versa, light cabinetry on a darker floor. So we're definitely seeing that. What we like as hardwood manufacturers with the that demand for the lighter floor or mid-tone type natural floors is we have a lot more happy customers, whereas, when we look back to the early 2000s, we had dark high gloss floors that, the minute that anybody looked at them, they scratched or dented, right? So we had a lot of customers that bought hardwood back in those days that, were dissatisfied with their hardwood floors. And it wasn't because, they weren't hard enough or durable enough for that particular family, but they just couldn't take any of that damage or hide any of that damage. So, with the low gloss, lighter floors, a little bit of texture within the brushed, we're definitely finding a lot more happy customers, homeowners at that point. So that's definitely a trend that's been really nice for us as well. And I know for myself, from a design standpoint, I sell hardwood flooring. I love hardwood flooring, but I don't necessarily want it to be the focus of the house. When you walk into a house, it should be a really nice base where if somebody walks in the house, they're like, hey, I really like your hardwood floor, but oh, I really love that tile backsplash, or I really love that feature wall that you did, or I really love these other aspects, as opposed to when you buy a really, really high contrast floor with a lot of variation in it, and it's like, whoa, that's a really loud Brazilian cherry floor that you got in your house, right? So, so I really like that trend as well to more of those base type looks. So,
thank you. And Thomas, go ahead.
Great presentation, Paul. Very informative. Thank you. It's Thomas. Just curious to know what the mode of transportation to get your product from Quebec out to the West Coast.
We traditionally ship by rail. So on our rail shipments, we from both of our plants, finishing lines, we have trucks that come to Western Canada every week. So 10-day turnarounds. Of course, there's always those times where we got to send it on a direct truck as well. If somebody needs it a few days ahead of time, but that's generally where we're about 7 to 10 days weekly out of both locations.
Okay, and I am just going to do one last check to see if there's any questions in our audience or any hands raised on the panel or attendee list. Okay, well, thank you so much.
You're welcome. And and I invite everyone to join and see my coworker, Alan Sieben, who's will be hosting the happy hour at the end of the day as well. And we have a door prize for him at that point as well. So
that's right, $100 gift certificate. So that's great. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Have a great day.